Welcome everyone. Not part of your scene. Long time since I did a video on this channel, but why the hell not? I've had plenty of ideas. Even made a bunch of thumbnails for reactions to songs and releases and whatnot. But just haven't recorded. Mostly because I've been doing a lot of the comic book stuff on Chaos and Comics. But a certain band recently released an album. That band is named Tool, and that album is named Fear Inoculum. And if you're in the rock, hard rock, metal, even prog, which I guess they're proto semi-prog in my mind, you've known or heard about this album. And after more than a decade since their last album, it seems in the rock, hard rock, metal, prog world, everyone has an opinion about Tool. There doesn't seem to be anyone that's like, it's okay. It seems like the Tool worshippers don't understand how and why Tool isn't worshipped and venerated. And then the Tool haters seem to really, really double down on that overrated label that they give Tool. And they both say that the other makes them more of one or the other, like it's feeding each other to increase hate or increase love. And I am a Tool lover. Now, I don't worship them anymore. At one point in the 90s, maybe early 2000s, they were definitely my favorite band. And I came in probably around Enema. I was pretty active on their listserv on Tool Band through that, and through other things too, but not just Tool. Is around the time that I really started getting into more extreme metal and a lot of the stuff that's influenced the radio stuff that I was initially exposed to. Like most of us, we don't get away from the radio unless you got an older brother, older cousin or something. For most of my family, I was the older brother and older cousin. So, in between Enema and Lateralis is probably where I really started liking like I said, extreme metal. I think I might have been a Carcass fan even in junior high, to be honest. And then like where I started discovering things like the Melvins and other stuff that influenced Kurt Cobain, and some of the where I started seeing like spin-off Mike Patton stuff, and it's probably more after Lateralis that I started all the stuff that Mike Patton did with like John Zorn and stuff, started getting me into more avant-garde stuff. And then around that time, 2006 or so, 10,000 Days came out, and I don't want to say I had outgrown Tool. I'd still listen to Tool. I still remembered them fondly, just like I do now. But 10,000 Days felt a little bit standard for a band that, when in the bucket of radio rock, was actually very experimental, very different, very had a different mindset for music and what it meant and what it should be, and also weren't exactly way into making a song that had was verse chorus, which is to me probably the reason I don't like thrash as much, because it is pretty standard to me. It's pop music, except it's a little heavier and has solos and stuff. So I'd grown out of that. Tool was one of the bands that sort of introduced me to that, and then I just went way off the deep end. And it probably was way off the deep end long before 10,000 Days. 10,000 Days comes out. I like it. It was reminiscent. I recognize Tool as a huge influence in my musical journey, as one of the many things that was different enough and artistic enough that it helped me spin out and learn about other things, essentially. But what 10,000 Days, over these years, even over the last month, I probably like it a lot more than I once did. And now that I've listened to Fear Inoculum, where 10,000 Days was maybe a B-, a C+, maybe a B, I don't know. Listening to Fear Inoculum, which I'll probably say is a B+, I'll just tell you that now. Whatever I put on that card is what I really think, that made you click on this video. But now it's definitely 10,000 Days is definitely a B+, A- range. And that's after these, I probably listened to 6, 7, listened to the new album 6, 7 times. And it made me realize that, 10,000 Days is its own era. There were moments where I was like, oh, Maynard's vocal patterns were a lot like Lateralis, and, Lateralis seemed like to have longer, stranger, developed songs, as far as structure goes. And, Vicarious on 10,000 Days, which I'm still not a huge fan of, just, sounded very derivative of stuff that had come earlier. But now when I think about it, songs like Zombie, the title track 10,000 Days about his mother, The Pot, Rosetta Stone, those songs are very, and the rest of the album sort of jumbles in, but those songs are very, very, very distinctive. They're distinctive through the way they begin, for sure. They're distinctive in their sections. They're distinctive in the way Maynard sings on them. And then they all have distinct parts, even though I guess Rosetta Stone is like 10, 11 minutes, even though they're not as long as the Fear Inoculum songs. And, 6, 7 listens, I could say that I still love it. I love this album. I enjoy it a lot. But the songs really do sort of mold into one another. There's not a lot of real heavy parts, which I'm okay with, actually. Tempest, I'm going to pronounce it Tempest. I guess it's 7 Empest. I don't know. Tempest is pretty heavy but still not heavier than a lot of other songs, which is maybe something I want. I guess it's what I want when I hear a Tool album, or at least this build up and sections that are heavy and different vocal sections and stuff. But really what I feel like Fear Inoculum is, and what makes it different than 10,000 Days, is that 10,000 Days really did have these distinct sounding songs, these distinct sounding beginnings, especially, and major parts like Rosetta Stone, where they speak real fast. Obviously I don't want them to repeat that. That should be for Rosetta Stone. But Fear Inoculum doesn't have this. A lot of what Fear Inoculum does, in my mind, is sort of rehash a lot of the ideas on Lateralis, believe it or not. And I don't know if this is a fresh take or anything. I've watched some reviews and I've seen people fight on Prog Snob, on Facebook and other prog and rock forums and stuff. And like I said at the beginning, it's well known that Tool is very divisive. The people either love them or hate them. I've already said that. But to me, and this can be taken as negative, but it just sounds like Adam Jones took a lot of parts from Lateralis and then just changed the tempos, restructured slightly, but guitar tones sound the same. The way the syncopation works between the drumming in the rhythm section, and then Adam Jones coming in on there in almost what feels like in a breakdown fashion, coming in with that real simple riff, but that didn't into like a I'm not going to do it. I'm not a musician, but a lot of that sounds like Pieces of the Grudge and like the End of Schism and the actual song Lateralis, except all of those are heavier, and the fact that they're muted and shorter songs, which it's hard to say because they're still pretty long songs, 6 minutes or longer in most of those cases. They have these distinct parts and distinct sections that really grab you and make you like it. Now, it sounds like I'm telling you I like the album, and then I'm telling you things I don't like about it. But the truth is that I like Lateralis, and Tool doing longer songs is interesting. That's essentially what makes it different. Even though a lot of these tones and a lot of the riffs and the drumming, they all sound like Tool, but not in the way that they sound like a different era of Tool. Like I've come to realize 10,000 Days is the 10,000 Days era of Tool. This sounds like the Lateralis era of Tool, where they've just decided to noodle more. It sounds like a bunch of jam songs that they practiced a lot and then worked some, proggy sounding rhythm sections in. And that's what it is. And I think that really fits because they've been working on these songs for a very long time. And they have that jammy quality, that long quality, but then they sound really tight. They sound really good. If you like the sound of Lateralis, if you like the Tool sound in general, they sound really cool, really good. They never get heavy, and then Maynard is much more muted in this. And I think that's probably one of the things that will make me not forgive the album, or I don't want to say forgive it, but make me not really, really love the album. Because now I think about like Maynard's vocal parts, you know, even in songs I don't like, or in albums I thought I didn't like, or sections that maybe I thought were a little bit gimmicky. For example, at first I always thought that Rosetta Stone part where they sing really quick was a little bit gimmicky. But I don't now. I think that was a cool part. You know, I think the way Maynard's vocal pitches change in the song Lateralis, for example, is really awesome. I think that the way Maynard was muted in 10,000 Days and then gets stronger, heavier, and emotional was very awesome. And Fear Inoculum, and this is probably one of the things that even as I listen to it more and enjoy it more, and these songs become part of my sort of Tool aura or Tool mentality, I think I'll always be disappointed that Maynard doesn't play a bigger role in this album. And I think we all expect that. It's not surprising that one day Tool would make an album where Maynard decided that he's going to be in the background, because if you've ever seen Tool, he's always in the damn background. And this is, you know, this is really an example, or you know, that those live shows are really a microcosm what this album is. There's no real sections, memorable Maynard sections in here, and that was always what it was. You know, for a person, Tool fans seem to either hate or love A Perfect Circle, and I guess it was the people that are more attached to Maynard and the lyrics and the emotional delivery of a lot of his lyrics on top of that Tool sound were the ones that can forgive the nu metal-y, softer sounding A Perfect Circle. And I guess I was that person. I mean, I've always loved Adam Jones, and I love the way Tool sounds, and I like Billy Howard fine, but Adam Jones and that rhythm section and the way they play together has always been awesome. But the Maynard thing is what really brought it together, and a lot of those mysterious lyrics and stuff like that are something that, you know, really affected me as a teenager in the mid 90s, a high schooler in the mid 90s, late 90s, or whatever. And you know, there's some mystery in the lyrics as far as what I can hear. I want to listen to the album a whole bunch more times before I go and read the lyrics as the band prefers. So I respect that and enjoy that. So there's still some mystery in the lyrics that as I listen to him, I don't know what he's doing or saying. But there's the delivery isn't there. The delivery is very muted in the background, very soft, and is taken more of the route that he has in that last Perfect Circle album, and in that Perfect Circle album that's only so that is a bunch of cover songs. So anyway, I got a lot more listens to do. As you know, on 7th listen, some of these subtleties are showing. I'm excited by the longer songs. I'm starting to recognize, even though they still feel like they run together a bit, I'm starting to recognize the subtle pieces I like. And so there's a chance that this will become a lot greater, and I'm open to that, and I see that. But, and this might change too, maybe I'm going to enjoy this later, but for the most part, what is a little negative and why it's a B- and not a B is that I just like Maynard. I like his songs, I like his delivery, and I like the weird sounds he makes with his voice in different parts of songs and previous albums, and I didn't get that here. So anyway, that is Fear Inoculum, a review with a little bit of my personal history for Tool and a little bit from where I'm coming from. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. This is Not Part of Your Scene. Find me at Chris Sarda on Twitter, and you can also check out at Chaos and Comics on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube too, to see those reviews. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.